Hi! Welcome back to Books, Tea and Biscuits with me, Jo.
And me, Kim.
Today is a bit special because we're going to see Murder on the Orient Express at the Alexandra Theatre, which we're looking forward to, and we're going to after we've done this.
Yeah, we're doing this and then we're literally running out the door.
Yeah, we are. So today, what we're going to be, Kim is going to be reviewing, because I've already reviewed them, so we're going to get Kim's opinion on the Frieda McFadden, The Housemaid, and then The Housemaid's Secret, and then we're both going to be reviewing The Housemaid is watching, because I've only just read that as well. Yeah. I'm also going to be reviewing Michaelides, I do like that name, The Fury, so I'm going to be reviewing that. That's the book I got from Newbridge for 50p.
Oh, that's good, because that's a relatively new one, that is.
It is a brand new one, yeah. It was only published.
That was 50p?
Yeah, from charity shop.
Bloody hell. Sorry.
I know, I gave them £1.
Good. That's good.
I know. And Claire Mackintosh, I See You.
I read that ages ago. I think I gave you that book, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You did.
That,
you said it was good, and it is.
The suspense in that is, wow.
I say suspense kills you.
Yeah,
and it does.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Oh God, yeah.
So we hope you had a nice Christmas and New Year. If Jo doesn't mind, I'm going to kick off with this because my books are similar in the same vein of obviously what the first book is, but just I'm going to go then Jo, then me, then Jo, as usual.
Yeah. Or I thought you could do both of them.
Okay, I'll do both of these together, and then Jo will do hers, and then Jo will do both of hers, one after the other, and then we'll do that together.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and Jo's lending me a book because I've never read Wuthering Heights. I brought this for Jo as well.
Which I'd reviewed.
Yeah, which you've reviewed already. Yeah. But I got into this because I really like Kate Bush's song Wuthering Heights, and she based it on this book.
Born the same date as the authoress. And
her birthday is 5 days after mine.
Yeah, I know. So, for those who know Kate Bush's birthday, you now know Kim's.
Yeah, summer baby. Should have been Halloween though. So I am reviewing The Housemaid by Frieda McFadden, and then The Housemaid's Secret, also by Frieda McFadden. So this is a story of Millie Calloway. Her real name is Wilhelmina Calloway, and at the beginning of this book she's living in her car because she has, obviously I don't want to give too much away, but she'd just come out of prison from doing a 10-year sentence, I believe, isn't it? Yeah. And obviously the book tells you why. I'm not going to tell you why because then it will give too much away. But she's living in her car. She goes for an interview at the Winchester's house for a housemaid position. Now bearing in mind she doesn't know that this is all set up. She's the one that what's the name of the wife? Nina. That Nina Winchester's husband chooses to be interviewed and get the job, even though Millie thinks that she's got no chance of getting it because she said that the Winchesters are really posh. Millie's not like that. She's living out of a car, and it takes her a couple of weeks to hear back from Nina Winchester, but she gets a job anyway. She gets a housemaid job, and when she's shown around on the first day, her room is in the attic. It's not quite an attic though, it's like an annex type thing.
Well, it is an attic.
It's tiny though.
Yeah,
so
tiny.
You have to go up like onto the 3rd floor. It's like a very small attic, and there's nothing in there apart from a bucket in a closet. One tiny dresser, one tiny fridge, and in the fridge are 3 small bottles of water. She doesn't think anything of it at first, but then she does notice something that creeps her out, and that's that the door only locks from the outside and not the inside. Anyway, Millie gets on with the job. She's been working there for a couple of weeks, but she notices that Nina Winchester's a bit odd in regards to she's always creating drama for Millie. So I think at first it's her notes for one of her meetings that she's got to attend, and she says she's left them in the kitchen, and Millie's adamant that she hadn't, and Nina thinks that she threw them away. The story goes on more to show a divide between Nina Winchester and Millie, and pushes Millie more towards Nina's husband. I can't remember his name, Jo, can you? Mr. Winchester. I'm just going to call him Mr. Winchester.
John or Alex or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Put it there when you...
I will. I'll write it down now. I'm just trying to see if it's in the blurb at all. Andrew.
Could be.
It begins with an A. Alexander, Andrew, Adrian. One of them. I'll put it here. I've read that many books in, so, you know, they're all a bit convoluted. And then, so the divorce between Nina and Millie causes Millie to get close to Nina's husband. But the twists and turns start to happen when Millie and Mr. Winchester, they don't go on a date, but he takes Millie to a ballet or a theatre show that Nina said that she'd be available for on that Sunday, but she actually wasn't. She was available the next Sunday, but she did it on purpose, apparently. So I'm pretty sure his name's Andrew. I want to say Andrew. Andrew, if it's not Andrew, I'll just put his name over there every time I say it. Andrew takes Millie to this show, and then they stay in a hotel, and then they do naughty things together. And then she wakes up locked in the room upstairs, and she doesn't know why. And then he makes her do these impossible tasks that she wouldn't think that would unnecessary. Without giving too much away, I don't want to say what it is he makes her do, but the twist at the end, I really liked it, but I just think that it happened all of a sudden. That's the only thing with this book. There was, for the first 3/4 of the book, there were twists and turns, but then it's like the last quarter, it's like bam, it just happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, the thing is, when she's deliberately said that she was available, so Millie ordered the tickets, and then she said, "You know I wasn't," and caused problem
that's what
there,
it said,
didn't
caused
she?
drama, yeah.
And then she was going somewhere. She went to her daughter's camp or something.
Yeah, she took her to the spring camp for 2 weeks.
When they get together at the hotel, she finds out and they have a big row, and she's nasty to Millie, and he takes Millie's side, and then when she's left, they're together, and it was that time when he takes her upstairs.
So I got it a little bit wrong. So it's when Nina moves out, he asks Nina to move out, and she goes to a hotel or motel or something like that, and then Millie finds out that there was a tracker on her phone, and she ends up, you know, sleeping with the husband. She wakes up upstairs, locked in a room, and then he makes her do these tasks because she's disobeyed him, so to speak. And then she manages to get out, and then the big twist happens. And I didn't see it coming because I thought it happened so quickly. And I'm like, because 1 second she was asking him to do the task that he made her do.
Yes.
And then that was it. And then we had the epilogue. Do you remember?
But it does, actually, because it splits at some point where she's talking to the police and telling them, and then it goes to what's happened. So you don't know, you've just got the chapter where she's talking to the policeman.
Yeah.
And then you find out what's happened.
Yeah, so
Very good.
Joe's explained it good there. So you think you know what's happened, and then she's talking to the policeman because of what actually has happened, and then it's after that in the epilogue. Well, I think you've got 1 or 2 chapters, and then in the epilogue you find out exactly what's happened. And I thought, oh, Nina Winchester's going to throw her under the bus and say this and say that, but it's good that she's actually on her side, isn't it?
Well, that's because we know the actual...
The story, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to give too much away, but I can't say too much because then it will tell you what's happened. But it just says from behind closed doors she sees everything.
Yeah.
It's really good, and I like how all the eyes on the books are different as well. So the eye on
You've
this
got
one's
blue one.
different, yeah, and then
That one's
this one's
really
a blue one,
blue.
but it's like a sea,
like a teal green.
yeah,
Teal
and that's
blue,
dark
is it?
blue, and then that's
And
brown.
that's brown, yeah.
And then we get into the second book. Oh, I haven't said. I give this one, 5 out of 5 stars for this one. I really liked it, and it's a page turner.
It is.
So yeah. The next one is a few months after the events of the first book. Millie is now living in Brooklyn in her flat, and she's studying at college to be a social worker. She gets a job at the Garrick's house because it's similar. They've heard of her through friends.
Word of mouth, isn't it?
Yeah, word of mouth. So they interview Millie. I say they. Douglas Garrick interviews Millie. It's like a penthouse apartment at the top, in the top story of a high-rise building in downtown New York, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Really wealthy family. Again, she says it's pristine. A little bit too clean, I think, from the description I was given. Like a show home. That's how it was. How I thought.
It's not like a home.
Yeah. Someone thought, what's she going to clean up? There isn't a child living there, so what's she going to do? And she just ends up doing the laundry, cooking them dinner mainly, which I found a bit weird because she has specific instructions for certain things, and you know, certain things she needs to go to 4 different grocery stores for. Yeah. So. At the beginning of this, it explains to us that she did start going out with Enzo, who's a character in this book, who's a landscaper for the Winchesters.
Who helped her,
but they just briefly crossed paths. But in this one, it's more, and then in that one, it's more. So she started going out with Enzo, who's a landscaper in the first book, who helps Millie. But then Enzo has to go back to Italy because his mum's became poorly. Throughout this book, Millie has got another boyfriend called Brock, who she started dating because Enzo said he'd be back within a few months, but then a year came and 2 years came, and he never came back home because his mum was still quite sick. So Millie got another boyfriend called Brock, and he always wanted Millie to move in. And then events unfold at the Garricks. When she's at the Garricks, Douglas Garrick tells her not to go into the guest room because his wife is sick. And then on the second or third day she's there, she hears crying from the behind that door. She knocks on the door and she doesn't get an answer. And then another time she's there, she sees a really big eye. The door's ajar and she sees an eye staring at her, like watching her, or a set of eyes. And then when she turns around and goes to speak to the person, the door is swiftly slammed in her face, and then the lady won't answer the door. And then again, I think a couple more times that she manages to speak to the lady, and she says that, you know, she's been hurt. There's blood in the bathroom. There's blood on her lapel of her night dress, and it's because I don't know how to explain it without saying the reason why. So again, it's all been set up. They've heard it from word of mouth. So one of Garrick's friends, Leslie Garrick, is the wife that's sick behind the door. She's sick behind the door. And it's because she knows what Millie did in the first book, how she helped that family, that she wants help for this. But she's lied all along. So events unfold. Millie gets arrested because of her criminal career that we find out at the beginning of the first book, but it turns out it wasn't Millie. Events unfold. She ends up back with Enzo because he comes home, because throughout the book Millie feels that she's getting followed by this black master with a cracked headlight with the same number plate 5F821 or something like that, and she thinks it's Douglas Garrick who's watching her, because when she's with her boyfriend Brock, when she's having dinner, she sees Douglas Garrick behind her with a lady that she doesn't recognise. So she follows him. Then the boyfriend calls her and she goes back because she shouldn't be snooping anyway. So she thinks that every time she sees this car, it's Douglas Garrick. Turns out it's not. It's Enzo, because he's there to be her security guard, let's say, her bodyguard. But she doesn't know that Enzo's back. And immediately she doesn't, because she's dating Brock, she doesn't get back with Enzo until round about the end of the book, when she needs help, because Brock, who is a lawyer, a really esteemed lawyer, and all his families are lawyers as well, helps her with her criminal case when she's getting questioned by the police for something that happened in the Garrick's house. And she finds out, Brock finds out Millie's big secret, which is that she was in prison for the crime that she committed, and then he storms out and then collects his clothes like 2 or 3 weeks later, and then he finds out that Enzo's there. So I don't want to say what happens in this book, but it says on the front of the cover, "This perfect home has one rule: don't look behind closed doors." But behind closed doors is a lie. That's all I'm going to say. I really like this book. I didn't like it as much as this one. This one was my favourite, but I still give this one 4.5 stars out of 5. I just found that it went back and forth all the time. She was going to the Garricks, getting followed. Then she was with Detective Rodriguez. Then there was another bit of the story, then there was another bit of the story, and then all these characters were introduced, and in the end I just got confused with who was who. But I gave it 4.5 stars, which is near perfect 5, but I just felt it was a little bit convoluted towards the second half of the book. But yeah, I hope I haven't bored you too much with that. I've tried to say it in a roundabout way where I don't give the plot away.
Yeah, that's the thing with Frieda McFadden's book. It's so easy to give the plot away.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that, but I really like the book styles anyway. Like Eye Behind the Keyhole, I'm Behind the Keyhole, and
because it shows the housemaid is watching.
So I think this one's Millie's eye, then I think that one is Leslie Garrick's eye, and then that one is the other person's eye. But we don't know, do we?
Well, I do, but you don't yet.
No. So that's mine. Altogether 9.5 stars for them two alone. What did you give them, Jo?
I gave them 5, I think.
Both of them?
I think so. I can't remember, it's been so long ago.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take that long reading it.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Now, this is called The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I'm going to read you the synopsis because that's the best way to start. No, it's okay, it's just I need to put my glasses on. There were 7 of us in all trapped on the island. One of us was a murderer. On an idyllic private Greek island, former movie star Lana Farah, an old friend, invites a select group of us to stay. It is hot, sunny, perfect, a chance to relax and reconnect, and maybe for a few hidden truths to come out. But nothing on this island is quite what it seems. Not Lana, not her guests, certainly not the murderer, furiously plotting their crime. But who am I? My name is Elliot Chase, and I'm going to tell you a story unlike any you've ever heard. Now, Lana Farah, as it states in the synopsis, she was a big movie star, and she married a German director called Otto. And Otto was a bit of a what's it to her, but they were together a long time, and they had a child named Leo. Otto would buy her anything and everything because basically he was nasty to her. Didn't always hit her, wasn't that so much, more psychological. She gave up acting to bring up Leo, and he bought her, Otto did, he bought her this lovely island in Greece. It was an island all on its own, and they built a house on it. And they needed somebody to do like gardening and that, so they picked this young man who was a Greek chap who was living not far from the island, so he would come over and he would do the garden. And he thought a lot of Lana. He liked her because she spoke nicely to him. And there was an elderly lady who would come in and do the housework and the cooking and whatever, so there was a couple of them. And this one time, after Otto had died, she'd got all these friends, and Elliot Chase was one of them. He was a young man that, because of his life, he'd had a bad life, in all honesty. His dad was horrendous to him. he would beat him and make fun of him and belittle him, and he used to have to go to school wearing really, really bad clothes. You know, hand-me-downs wasn't in it. He was tatty and rubbish and everything. And he really tried to get himself out of the mess he was in because of his life. And he was good looking. He was a nice looking lad. And certain women, I think they're called cougars, aren't they?
Yeah.
He would sort of become a gigolo. And there was this one, she was an authoress, very, very good, big, famous and everything. And she paid for him. She, you know, he had to do her bidding, basically a slave, really. She'd have him doing the most stupidest thing, like going and, you know, she'd drop something on the floor and he'd have to pick it up even though it was just there, or her glasses are there and it's get my glasses, or something's there on her lap and he'd got to get it. So, you know, literally was overboard.
Yeah.
But he did it because he had a nice life and he met all these wonderful people, and one of them was Lana, and she was nice to him, and she was his favourite ever actress, and he couldn't believe it when he met her, how lovely she really was, and she spoke to him and that. And Elliot ended up, the woman who was keeping him fell down the stairs and died. And Elliot wrote a book that became a play and became famous because of that. I mean, he wasn't overly famous, but people would know his name, and he mixed with the, you know, the rich and famous and whatever. And they become friends. Him and Lana became good friends. And Lana married another chap. And this chap was a bit of a ladies' man, wasn't exactly faithful to her. And she found out this one time that who she thought was her best friend was having an affair with her husband. Now, she found out because she was suspicious in the first place, but she got a private detective to follow him around, and she found out that way for certain. And she'd gone to see Elliot in his home, and they got a bit tipsy.
Yeah.
And she did. And she was spilling her heart out to him. And he said, "What do you want to do about it?" And she wanted to find out for certain. She wanted to catch them. So they created this plan, and he said, "Why don't you invite them to the island?" So that was decided. So she phoned up her best friend and her husband, and she'd said to her husband, "Why don't we go to the island?" And she got a few people there. Leo was going as well. So there was 5 of them, plus the gardener and the lady that used to cook and keep house for them. They went on the island, and everything was going fine till they heard a gunshot.
Oh.
They heard 2 shots. And when they went into the area, the wooded area where they heard it from, she was lying there. And Leo goes mental, Lana. And Leo, her son, can't believe it, and he's screaming and yelling and everything. And everything isn't always what it seems.
Okay.
Basically what happens is then, part way through the book, Elliot then tells you extra stuff that's not in the initial chapter.
Okay.
To show you why that happened. And it's to get her friend and her husband, it's to catch them. And they think that he's committed the murder. So the idea is to catch them, and the maid, if you like, the lady, she was supposed to go and call the police, and Elliot tells everybody that she's called the police, and the police will be coming, but obviously the wind, it's called the Fury because the wind in that part of the island is horrendous. It's never safe. People won't go on the boat to go over to the island. It's a private island, nobody else can go over there unless she invites them. but nobody would go off the island while that wind is going because it's very dangerous, and nobody will go anywhere, and the police won't come over while that wind is going because it's dangerous. So although he's told them that the police were coming, because of the wind, obviously the police can't get there. But the police aren't coming
Could have never been called.
because they've never been called.
Okay.
It's a twist within a twist, and I can't really. No, it is really good. It's a twist within a twist. Things aren't actually what they seem, and some person finds out by accident what the real plan was.
Okay.
Right? The
Yeah.
real plan was to make somebody commit suicide.
Okay.
And they find out, this person finds out the real plan. So then what they do is twist it for their own means. So the person who really was doing the real plan is the one that then becomes the person that they're going to get. It's very good.
Wow, sounds
Really
good.
good.
Sounds intriguing.
It is very
Is it
intriguing.
a page turner?
Oh God,
So
yeah.
you just keep reading and
Yeah,
reading.
yeah. It really,
I like
all
them
his
ones.
books are, because there's always a twist with his. The one, The Silent Patient, that yeah.
I haven't read that yet, but I've got that.
You've got to, yeah. And The Maidens.
Yeah,
That's another one where, you know, you're thinking, oh my God, that's not what I thought at all. He's have a twist, and then it twists again, and you think, oh, I've got it now, but you haven't. And then at the end, you have, and you think, now I can see it. But you can never guess what the endings are. It's very good.
Can I have a look at the book?
Yeah.
I just want to see what it's like under the sleeve. Is it any different, or
I don't know, I've never had a look.
just the blue one? But the spine's nice.
Yeah.
I just like.
I like his books.
I've never read any of his books.
Yeah, you've got to read it. The other one is I See You. Now, I read this.
How many stars do you give this one?
Oh, 5.
5.
I'd give it 10 if I could, but I can't.
You can. You say 10 out of 10 or 10 out of 5 if you want to.
Yeah, I can't really, can I?
No. What's the next one?
This one, I See You. Again, I'll give you the synopsis. You do the same thing every day. You know exactly where you're going. You're not alone. When Zoe Walker sees her photo in the classified section of a London newspaper, she's determined to find out why it's there. There's no explanation, just a grainy image, a website address and a phone number. She takes it home to her family, who are convinced it's just someone who looks like Zoe. But the next day, the advert shows a photo of a different woman, and another the day after that. Is it a mistake, a coincidence, or is someone keeping track of every move they make? It is very compelling. There's some, you know, it is twisty, it is compelling, and you will never guess the end, ever, ever, ever.
Was you shocked when you were at the end?
I was, because it is quite amazing. The protagonist, Zoe Walker, and there's PC Kelly Swift and Katie Walker, Justin Walker, Zoe's boyfriend Simon, and there's Melissa and Matt, which is Zoe's ex-husband. There's Graham, who's her boss, DCI Digby, and DI Nick Rampello. Zoe, after seeing herself in the paper, and she finds on a .com advert, and she gets quite concerned and she gets quite scared after the other picture, because her family says to her it's just coincidence, you're just imagining it. So she starts to think she's imagining it, and then she looks at the picture again, she's sure it's her. And then there's another woman the next time, and that woman gets murdered. She's killed. So Zoe then starts to get a bit scared and concerned, because she's thinking, that was my picture in there, that was my picture. And she really does think it's her picture. And the other woman's attacked and murdered. She goes to the police and tells them, after someone tries to push her off the platform of a
Yes,
train. Yeah,
the train
they try and push her off the platform as a train's coming, and then the police sort of believe her. And there's this other girl who's a dancer, I think, and she's placing ads, obviously, for her ability, her profession. And then she's killed. Zoe and her daughter Katie then find out that Katie is on somebody's eyesight. So basically, there's then, I mean, by this time the police are starting to take her concerns for real, and they really are getting concerned for her, and they're trying to do what they can for her, and they tend her to be extra careful and whatever. And this one police officer asks Katie if she wouldn't mind being, what do you call it? They would use her, basically.
A decoy.
Yeah, well, not a decoy, but not a plan exactly, but to be there to try and bring him out. And so she agrees that she will. In fact, to be honest, she has no option, does she? Because certain things happen, and Katie and her mum are forced by somebody to do this. They say that Katie's got to go out, she can't tell anybody, she's got to do a normal route, and if the person who's, you know, they bet on them, basically, don't they, on the computer, on the dark net and that, and they do a bet and say what they're going to do, and they've got to try and get her, and then if they get her to go with them, you know, it's all money. And she's got to try and stop somebody from getting her, which is very difficult.
Yes.
Because these people that are sick like that and on the dark web are all over the place, and they know what she looks like, and she's been forced to do that. Otherwise, she's told if she doesn't do that, her mom will be murdered. And so she decides to do it. Her mom is obviously worried and panic stricken, and the person who's holding her mom, so Katie will do as she's told, has got the computer, and they've logged into the cameras at the station so they can watch Katie, and as soon as she deviates or tries to tell anybody, her mum will be murdered. So Katie's gone along, and this man who's been following Katie and was one of those that was on the website manages to talk to Katie, and Katie goes off the screen. Now, to tell you any more, we're doing the story. But when you finish reading it and you see what happens and hear what happens, and then it's not till the last page when you find out who's really responsible for all these murders, and particularly the attempted murder of Katie and her mum.
Yeah.
And basically they get away with it.
Yeah, it's an edge of your seat thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Because the person you think it is sort of, it is them, but the person that was egging them on to do it and was really the person that had started it gets away with it because you don't know it's them.
I know.
All the way through, you don't know it's that person. And then when you read basically the last page, it's a shock.
Yeah, it is.
It is a shock.
It's so good.
Yeah, because at some point that person was almost in the police's, you know, yeah, they thought, you know, but no, it couldn't be that person. It's so, oh my God, it was brilliant.
It's good, wasn't it?
It was, because I kept thinking, oh, it's that one, yeah. And then when I found out who it really was, I thought, how can they do that?
But I think the clues are given throughout, but you just don't pick up on it, do you? Because they're so
And
good
even
with the
with-
computer as well.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but it tells you that at the beginning of the book, the person's good with the computer, and it says who's good with the computer. I'm like,
yeah. But it's done in such a way that you,
You
don't
don't notice.
time. No, you
Yeah.
don't. So it's it is a really good
you had
book.
that book for about 4 or 5 years, haven't you? Because I read that when I worked 5 or 6 years ago when I worked at the other place.
Yes, and I'd never got round to reading it
Yeah.
because we were reading all other stuff.
All the other
so
stuff. I'm glad you've
yeah,
read it now.
yeah.
The cover's really nice as well.
I do like the cover. It's very unusual.
Like leaves in a
Yeah.
puddle,
Yeah,
and she's walking away. Sorry, Joe. She's walking away.
yeah. It's quite. It's well. It's not quite good. It's very good. Really is.
Is that
very
one you're
good.
keeping then?
Well, yeah. I've had it all this long. It's one. I mean, I'm actually reading the Cormoran and Stripe books again.
The only reason I say that is because I found out that if you don't want to go to a charity shop and give your books away, libraries take donations
Yeah, I know.
as well.
I
So.
know. But no, I'll be keeping it. I'm sure there's probably a follow-on to that.
There
Because
is,
the
I think.
way it's done, it leaves it open-ended. You're thinking,
We'll
is
have to
that
find
person
out.
going to be found out yet? You
We'll have to
know?
find out. Or they could have just left us in suspense and not done another one.
Oh no! They can't do that. They can't do that. All right. What
Right.
we're going to review now is the
Housemaid.
Housemaid is
The housemaid's
watching.
knee, yeah?
Yeah, I keep saying the Housemaid's
The housemaid is
is
watching.
Yeah. Again, it's Millie, and they've left where they used to. It's Millie, Enzo, and her 2 children.
Nico and Ada, yeah. This
Yeah.
is about 13 years later, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
And they ended up in New York,
Yeah.
in a very nice area, very
Yeah.
posh. It's almost their dream home, which they've had so much bad luck in getting the home because it was either too pricey or they lost it because somebody else had outbid them. But with this house, for some reason, nobody wants it. So
Millie
they
does.
get it.
Yeah.
And they can't believe, I mean, they're going to be hard pushed to make the mortgage payments, but it's what they want. And Enzo has now got to go round and build up his business, hasn't he?
But the neighbour kind of takes a mick out of them for the house, though, doesn't she?
Yes,
Suzette.
yeah, Suzette, they're next door neighbours. Suzette and Jonathan loaded, and Suzette actually openly flirts
With them.
horrendously with Enzo. She's touching him or everything. I mean, she makes it pretty obvious that she's after him. They've got a neighbour across the way who panics with her children and thinks that Millie shouldn't go out to work because Millie works in a hospital.
Yeah.
And they're saying, and she says that she shouldn't go out to work because she should look after the children. And there was a child that went missing some years before, and basically saying to Millie that she's a rubbish parent, even though she doesn't really know Millie because Millie's only just gone there. And she takes her child to the school bus on a lead. This neighbour,
Yeah.
the child is on a lead to make sure that he's safe. And the lead comes off obviously when he gets to school. And when they're coming home, the lead's put on him again. So he has a lead so nobody can pinch him because she's a nutcase.
Bit
basically.
Lally, isn't she?
She's got to be. And she's very critical of anybody who's not like her. And she's critical of Suzette and Jonathan. She tells Millie to watch out for them, you know, keep an eye, don't trust them. They have a cleaning lady. And they offer the cleaning lady, say, oh, you should have a cleaning lady, use our cleaning lady, Martha. So Enzo agrees because he says that she shouldn't be cleaning anymore. She's done enough of her cleaning in her time.
Yeah.
And she needs to have, you know, time for herself. So it's agreed that Martha will be their cleaning lady. And Martha's a bit weird. She keeps staring at Millie all
And
the
stealing
time.
things, doesn't she?
She starts to... Millie catches her stealing a necklace. It wasn't a particularly expensive. It wasn't really worth anything except sentimental value to her. It was something that Enzo had bought and she catches her doing it and obviously tells her off. She's also stealing money from them, and it turns out that Enzo withdraws because they have to keep a check on all their finances because of their difficulties. And she finds out that Enzo has withdrawn £1,000 out of their account, which has then put them in the red, and she's not happy because he never discussed it with her.
Yeah.
And it turns out he's given this money to Martha. And Martha was hoping that Millie would be able to help her, but she's so tongue-tied around Millie, and she keeps trying to let Millie know she needs her help, but for some reason she can't bring herself to talk to Millie. And Enzo helps her because her husband is abusing her. So he helps her escape her husband. So he don't know where she's gone, and Enzo's put her somewhere safe and given her the money, which Millie says, if you'd have told me, I would have helped, but you know. In the meantime, they've been over for a meal to Suzette's, and she's pouring, you know, with her claws and that at Enzo. And then she doesn't like children, so she's not happy that the children are there for the meal. And they're sort of, she says that she'll help him build up his clientele if he'll come and do her garden, and it's an excuse just to get him over there. And then their son, Nico, being a 9-year-old, you know, he's a lad. He's playing baseball. He breaks their window. It's an accident. Didn't mean it, but it cost a lot of money. Apparently, according to them, it was a stained glass window. Now they can't afford a stained glass window. They can't afford to pay for it. So it's decided that Nico will go over to their home and do errands and maybe clean bits and bobs, you know, to pay for what he did. And Nico starts to change. He becomes aggressive and doesn't want to talk to his sister anymore when they were very close, and he's nasty to her, isn't he? And he's cheeky to his mum, and he's just
out of character for him,
yes,
isn't
and he's becoming quite nasty. And he's in the baseball match, and he thumps this kid who says something to him, and he hits him. And Nico is sort of, Enzo says, oh, it's natural, boys, you know, he was protecting the girl, and she's going, no, there's something wrong with him, and Enzo won't have it. And then she's told by Jonathan that Nico's not to go over anymore because he's still breaking things and he's being cheeky and he's not being nice, and they don't want him over there. So he's not allowed to go over there. Because of his violent behaviour, he's not allowed to play with the little boy who has to wear the lead to school. Even though they're good friends, his mum doesn't want it anywhere near, but he tells his mum, so he can get out of the house, that, oh, she's relented and she's gone, yeah, it's okay as long as I just stay in the garden. So his mum believes him. God knows where he's going, but he's certainly not going over the road. And when she finds out he's lied, she's not happy about it. And it goes on from there, doesn't it?
I haven't read that before. I've only got to chapter 30.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you asked me earlier what chapter
Yeah, but I forgot how far these chapters are. So what did you think of it?
Of what I've read.
Of what you've read.
Yeah, it's really good. I liked when, well, I didn't like it, but how Suzette's trying to get her claws into Enzo, but it's kind of like falling for it, but not falling for it, do you know what I mean? But it's because of his intention to help.
Yeah.
And I like when, because chapter 30 is just after the one where Millie catches Martha stealing the necklace.
Yeah.
That's how far I've got.
Oh, right.
But carry on, it's intriguing.
Unfortunately, there's a death.
Okay.
Somebody dies.
Obviously, Joe.
Yes. They are murdered. Now, the person who finds this person murdered is Millie.
Okay.
Now Enzo's working in the garden.
Yeah.
She goes to, because she's found something out which she's not happy about, and she wants to go over there and have a word and sort of say, you know, you've got to stop this, cut it out, whatever. She goes over but she goes in the back way, and she comes out the front way, screaming, you know, because she's seen this dead body. She's found this dead body, and the person's had the throat slit, so there's blood everywhere. And the neighbour across the road, the one who's, you know, weird, she's already phoned the police.
Does Millie have blood on her?
Well, she did bend down to find out if the person was still breathing.
Okay.
So she hasn't really. Only on her fingers, because she, you know, she checked. Yes. Yeah. And that she'd come running out, but because the neighbour had already heard shouting and yelling, and Millie had arrived after she'd already phoned the police, so she knew Millie wouldn't have got accused of it. But Enzo has got blood on him. He says that he cut himself, cut his hand rather badly, and did that. And of course he's got blood on his t-shirt and whatever. And with the police being at the house where the murder's taken place, she says to Enzo, get your t-shirt off and get rid of it, because there's no way because you know, where did you cut yourself? She can't see where he cut himself. It's so small, but he bled a lot. And he shows her, and she's just get rid of the t-shirt. So he does that, and he's all changed, and the police come over to talk to them, and they're friends with one policeman who helped them.
Detective Rodriguez.
That's
Benito Rodriguez.
Yeah. And he's not the one in charge of the case, but they phone him. The police speak to both of them. They go, no, but you know, she said, I went in there to talk to Suzette, I think it was, and she found the dead body. She's like, all I did was check, you know, if they were still breathing. It was, you know, and she's in shock, she's upset because, you know, seeing all this blood and that. And they said, no, we know you hadn't, we were called before you'd arrived, because the neighbour had heard screaming and shouting and what have you. And they asked Enzo, and he said he was in the garden. He didn't hear anything, which he wouldn't, because his lawnmower and all that makes such a racket. You can't hear unless you get his attention. He won't hear, no, you're there. So they reckon whoever it was couldn't have gone in the front because the neighbour would have seen him. But the neighbour insists that Enzo did it because he'd initially gone in the front way before he did the work in the garden. So she's putting it around to the police that she reckons it was Enzo. So he is actually their focus. The children, meanwhile, are obviously very upset with what's happened. And the police go away because there's no actual evidence at this time. And they phone Detective Rodriguez and tell him that they need his help. And she tells him what's happened, and he says, I'll be right over. So in the meantime, he finds out what he can. And he comes to see her. And he says, there isn't a lot, but they are focusing on Enzo. And to be honest, if it was me, I would be focusing on Enzo because of all the circumstantial evidence at this time. The story is being told, not just by the neighbour, but mostly by Suzette, that Enzo fancied her like anything and was jealous of Jonathan because it's Jonathan who's been murdered. And he says, I've seen a friend, I've told a friend that you know, and it's Nina's daughter.
Cecilia.
Yeah, she's grown up and she's a top lawyer. She's in fact district attorney.
Okay.
and she's good. She's good at what she does, and she's agreed to come and see them to help them. So she comes and she says, look, you know, this, you need to tell me, you need to be totally honest with everything. I'm going to ask you, I want you to tell me the truth on everything. Don't leave anything out. And they tell her, which I'm not going to say because it will ruin the story. They tell her stuff and she writes it all down. Then Enzo tells her something which Millie had no idea about. She didn't know anything about. And so she was shocked to hear about it, and they get everything on and they sort of have a bit of a row about it, but you know, it's sorted. Okay, fair enough. I don't know you anymore, Enzo, sort of thing, you know. And then she contacts Millie at one point. She says, look, I'm giving you a heads up. They're going to arrest him. Even though it's circumstantial evidence, they're going to arrest him. They will tell you why. And they come to the house because they've done a search of the house, obviously. And they found a penknife, which, you know, he used to use the penknife.
Yes.
It's got his father's initials on it. And the penknife has got Jonathan's blood on it. Only a tiny bit. It had been washed, but they'd missed a tiny bit. And because of that, they arrest him because of this penknife. But he hadn't done it.
Of course he hadn't done it.
No, he hadn't done it. But he admits to doing it.
Which means he's protecting somebody if he has admitted to doing it.
He's protecting somebody. But you don't know who. But it's very good, and there's one or two twists that happen in it which you will find out, which I'm not going to ruin for you
Finish it
at all.
tonight.
I'm not going to ruin it for you, but I will tell you this: when you get to the end, you get a chapter that's actually got a name, and you read that person's, you know, from when they move and whatever, and then you get another one which is Millie's take on things and whatever, and then you get another one, and it's after the last one, and you think, oh my god.
Well,
So yeah, there's, you know, it is very, very good.
I can't wait to finish it.
If you, I mean, what you've read up to now, if you were given a score on what you've read up to, what would you give it?
From what I've read, 4.
Yeah.
That's because I've only read half the
Yeah,
book.
which tells you how good it is.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you're giving it a 4 when you're only halfway through,
It is intriguing, and as soon
it's
as
nothing like these two.
no, as soon as Suzette was introduced, I just wanted to punch her in the face.
Yes,
because I could,
yes.
I
You know
could tell.
when there's characters in
Yeah.
a book and you think,
Oh,
don't
no.
like that one, and you don't like her. She's two-faced.
And she indirectly insults them, doesn't she?
Yeah.
To their face.
She's definitely not a nice person.
No.
I mean, admittedly, at one point they all go to the beach and she almost drowns.
Good.
But
Is she
Enzo
playing?
saves her.
Yeah, of course.
No, genuinely.
Okay.
She thinks she's caught a leg in some seaweed, but she wasn't. Somebody pulled her under. And of course she couldn't.
Does she know who it was?
No. That's why she thought she'd got her feet
Oh.
caught in seaweed. Millie thinks it's somebody,
Okay.
but it wasn't that person.
Oh, do you find out who it is?
Oh yeah. They admit it. Not to Millie, but when they're doing when you've got one person who actually gives the view of them, not just them but the other, and the person who did it, you know, it's stated.
Okay, I can't wait to get to there then.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
What stars do you give this?
5.
That's all 3 books, just give it a 5.
Yeah.
You really like Frieda McFadden anyway, don't you?
I do. I think she's really, really brilliant.
And this is the thickest one of all of them. How many pages does it have?
I can't remember.
386.
Something like that.
Yeah, I really like them. So
It
yeah,
is good.
that's
They
them
are,
3.
Yeah, they are really. really good. But I
Can't
think
wait for
I
number
think we've
2.
been quite lucky with some. I know some books we've thought
Oh, I don't
like 1 or 2 books that we bought. I got to the first page and couldn't read anymore. It was so
boring, or
Yeah.
just not at all.
just not. I wanted to read it. I even tried it and managed to do 3 pages, but then I thought I can't read this. So there are 1 or 2 books that we've either struggled to read, but we've read them and thought that's 2-3 days of our life we'll never get back again.
Yeah.
Or I ain't reading this because
But we both like all of these.
yeah,
don't we? Because
she's good.
Because usually we're like, oh, Joe, what do you think of this book? And either she likes it and I don't, or I like it and she doesn't. But this month we both like all of these books, so that's a positive.
It is. It's really
There you
good.
go, so I'll give you them back. I've read them
Lovely,
too.
thank you. The other, there's a new, for those who are Robert Galbraith fans, there's a new book coming out called The
Hallmarked Man.
The Hallmarked Man, and that's the 8th book, and I can't wait.
Oh,
When that comes out, I've got to read that.
I've only read The Cuckoo's Calling at the moment.
Oh, you've got to read the others.
Oh well, but
You've got to.
Joe,
Yeah, I know.
qualified,
But
so-
sort of in between, when you've finished the books that we're reviewing, if you've got to think I fancy reading,
read that one.
read one of his, yeah.
Oh,
Because the one after The Cuckoo's Calling is
The
The
Silkworm.
Silkworm,
Yeah.
and that's really good. I've just finished reading A Career of Evil again, and because I haven't got Lethal White, and I do have Troubled Blood, that's the one I'm reading at the moment. I read them all out of
sync, did you?
yeah, but it doesn't matter.
No.
That's what's so good about them, because they always recap how they knew it. It always says in them that the first day she went in was as a temp, so you know how it came to be.
Uh-huh.
So I do like them books.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to start reading them.
So February,
Yes.
we've been discussing February.
Today.
And it's we're not going to have any because I haven't got a romantic bone in my body. I'm sorry, but
Only when it comes to a certain person in Cats in Space, though, eh? See, she's not denying it. I know.
no. I don't like romantic films.
You get that sick feeling, don't you? Yeah.
Well, I just think
Cringe.
So it's either very corny or a pack of lies,
Probably
and-
the latter.
or both. And I don't like romance books. I can't stand romance books. I find them corny. This is just my view, and I apologise for anybody who's got a big romantic bone, but I haven't, and I don't like romantic books one bit. It's different if somebody is romantic. That's one thing, but reading about it and watching films, no way. So we thought we won't have romance, even though February is supposed to be the romantic month because of Valentine's Day. And we thought, well, the only other thing that February has is Candlemas, for those that are into Wicca and paganism and that. And I thought, nah. So we decided it will be about animals. So the books we're going to read are The Elephant.
The Elephant in the Garden by Michael Morpurga, something like that.
Yeah.
You're going to be reading.
I'm going to be reading Just So Stories because it's one of my favourite books because my dad used to read it to me when I was little, and I do love those stories, Just So Stories.
I want to get The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, I think it's
Which
called.
is a brilliant
Yeah.
read, as I understand. I've never read it. I've heard of it, and I've heard some good reviews about it. And the other one is going to be obviously Sherlock Holmes and the Hand of the Baskervilles.
And then if you're going to read a third one, we're going to discuss that, and just it'll be a surprise for the next one because we're just going to go into the works and look for something with an animal
Yes,
on, aren't we?
we are. Yeah, and see what we're drawn to.
Yeah.
Either something going read me,
Cool.
which will be a cover for you, won't it?
Yeah.
Or
like
the title will just come out and say "Read Me,"
Yeah.
and I'll look at that. But yeah, I thought so. We're going to have Animal Month in February. So any books to do
Can't
with
wait
animals.
to
Yeah,
read.
looking forward to that.
So that'll be good. So we hope you've liked this. We wanted to show you one more thing because
I think we showed you this last
We
time,
did.
but we're going to show you again because we are
This
planning.
literary map of the UK. So there's got all different houses that are in books or different parks and ships and things like that. And we are actually going to decide where to go for February, and that video is looking like that it will be a location video for the next one. So we haven't yet decided where we're going, but it will be towards the end of February, so we can get the books read, and then it'll be a video on location. So that will be good. We've just got to decide where to go. So
We could stick a pin,
yeah,
couldn't we? Or one of
Get a
close our
picture.
eye and just do that and see where
we'll
we
probably
pointed.
we'll probably do some game and just decide where to go. But yeah, we can't wait. We was going to take Murder on the Orient Express with us tonight and do a quick photo, but I don't have a copy of the book, so if there's one there I'll buy one because I want to get merch as well. So yeah,
I've got a copy of the book. It was my mum's, and I read it.
that's
didn't I?
good. Yeah,
So,
you did.
Might do.
And they're just stickers that I've got from the journal. So you just colour in the amount of stars, and they're from Daisy and B. So that's
Oh,
good.
right. Okay. So, thanks for listening to our waffle.
Yes, always waffle. You're going to go and enjoy a theatre show now.
Yeah, can't wait. Michael Maloney, those who watched Morse, Lewis, Agatha Christie, he's been on Agatha Christie. He's been in loads of stuff. He's a good actor and can, I think, in my opinion, can turn his hand to anything. He's been given the role of Hercule Poirot. So far, it's all been really great. The scenery apparently is brilliant, which we can't wait, can we?
No.
Because they've turned the stage into the train. And he's apparently brilliant as Hercule
I
Poirot.
can't wait to see him.
So he's a different version of him, but I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
I always look forward to theatre anyway.
Yeah, and I've got theatre in March as well. So March will probably have to be a shortish month because
That's fine.
my friend Pamela has gone overboard with the tickets again. We're going to see the UK Pink Floyd experience on the 7th of March, and they're at Newport. My friend Emma's in it, and they are really good. They're brilliant. And then we're going on the 8th. We're back in Birmingham because Jeff Brown, for those who like the Sweet, you won't know who the Sweet are. Google them.
Okay.
He was in the Sweet for 23 years after Brian Connolly had left and been sacked, and he was in the Trem. Well, he's in the Trems, and he's also in the original Jukebox Heroes. And he's brilliant, and he's performing in Birmingham. So if you go on to ENTS 24, I think, you'll see the list of people that are going to be performing. And he's got this gig on the 8th of March. And then on the 9th of March, we're going to see Brit Pink Floyd.
So yes, you'll do much reading that month. You'll probably read 1 or 2 books. I'll probably read more than Joe, and that's saying something.
Yeah, you probably will too. And then in April, I'm off again. April the 3rd, we're seeing Sweet, which now has Paul Manzi, who's lovely, and Minky, his beautiful wife, lovely wife, did her logo.
Yeah,
She-
she did.
And they're performing on April the 3rd, and we're going to see them, and then going to see John Lodge, and then somebody else, can't remember who, and then in May we're going to see someone else, and then can't remember. There's so many. I'm waiting for the spreadsheet.
Okay, good. So at least that gives me something to work with. Each video will update you with what we're doing next month and what Joe's going to be reading and what I'm going to be reading. But yes, thank you for watching, guys. We hope we've made you laugh. We hope you've enjoyed the reviews. If you have read these books, let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Yeah,
Or on
interesting to know what
Facebook.
you thought.
Yeah, or on Instagram if you have read them, or if you've read anything in the similar vein, let us know so we can read them too. enjoy, have a good weekend. We are now going to a theatre show and I've got to drive through Birmingham, so wish me luck.
Bye.